Nerd alert! In this video, we're talking about the Facebook Pixel. Hey, it's John here at HypedIn, and if you're watching this video, you are a Facebook ads nerd and absolutely love it because I can totally sympathize and geek out on that stuff. Facebook and Instagram ads are one of the greatest tools for us independent music artists to promote our music, and so I love talking about the technical details of these in some of my videos, this being one of those, because in this video I want to dive deep into a question that's coming up over and over again, and that's the question, John, how many pixels do I need? 1, 2, 3, even more? Let's explore it in this video. Let's start off by talking about what the Facebook Pixel is and why you even need it. Why is it so valuable? Here's the idea behind it. If you're advertising any kind of product on Facebook and Instagram, that could be music, that could be merchandise, that could be anything else, then there will be a number of people on Facebook and Instagram that take action, that like what you have to offer. They're going to click the link in your ad and they're going to come over to your website, whether that is a smart link, whether it's a merch store or anything else, to interact with the product that you introduce to them. Now, the purpose of the Facebook Pixel is to understand who that person is. Who is the person that just came over on Facebook and Instagram? And the reason why this is so valuable is that if Facebook knows who is coming over to look at your music, at your merchandise, etc., then Facebook can go out and analyze the data around these people and say, oh, they have all of these characteristics in common. So if these people all like John's music and they all have these things in common, then I should really go out and find more people that share the same characteristics because they might also like John's music. So essentially what the Pixel is, it's a critical tool in the whole advertisement machine that helps Facebook learn where to find die-hard fans for your music and then bring those fans over to you. When I launch an ad campaign on Facebook and Instagram, something that I often find is that the campaign starts out at a certain level of performance and then gets better and better and better and better and better. And it's really a trajectory of increasing performance. It's because the Pixel is just getting more data about the fans that interact with your music, your merchandise, or anything else that you're offering. So the Pixel is an amazing tool, and that's also why sometimes it's so painful if I talk to artists who launched Facebook and Instagram ad campaigns and then look at the results after 2 days or 3 days and say, my account on Spotify hasn't blown up yet, and that's why I shut down the ad. This stuff isn't working for me. When I know from personal experience, no, this stuff is working, but because you didn't give it enough time, you didn't give the Pixel enough data, you never saw what's possible. And I still run into this today with my own ad campaigns where I release a new song, I launch a campaign, I look at the results a few days later, I'm like, this isn't as great as I've seen it on other songs. But then I remind myself, John, always keep an ad running for at least 4 weeks so that you give the Pixel enough time to help grow that campaign into that sweet spot, into the zone where it just converts diehard fans for you the best as it can. And I'm actually going to share a link to a video above where I talk about that for one of my most recent campaigns that started off really, really weak, and I was on the edge about turning it off. But because I reminded myself and I let it run, it actually became one of my best campaigns, generating tens of thousands of listeners and streams and pushing my music into the algorithm playlist on Spotify. So it just did amazing, but it didn't do amazing on day 1. It did amazing on day 14 and then day 28. So the Pixel needs data in order to optimize things for you, which is why it is such a powerful feature. So Pixels are amazing and you absolutely have to use them if you want to get the best results for your ads on Facebook and Instagram. But now let's come back to the original question. How many pixels should I have as an independent music artist? And to answer this, I want to describe 3 scenarios. Scenario 1 is an artist who makes one genre of music and really stays in that genre lane. The second scenario is an artist who makes multiple genres of music. And the third is if you run a record label or you promote multiple artists across different genres. Let's start with number 1, a music artist in one kind of genre. That's where I'm at home, okay? I make old school piano house, and that's all I do. Every song I release as John Gold falls into that niche genre. And so for me, it makes the most sense to just use one pixel. Think of the pixel as an audience collection device, an audience collector, right? Because that's where all the data from the different fans that interact with your music comes together on the pixel. So the pixel is basically the container that knows all the fans that interacted with you. And if you make one kind of music genre, and that's all you do as an artist, then you should really only have one pixel. In fact, if you think of the pixel as a container like this, you would do yourself a disservice using multiple pixels, because you would spread the data across multiple buckets, where the more data you have in one bucket, it helps Facebook better understand who your perfect audience is. So one artist in one genre, just use one pixel. Now let's talk about scenario 2. One artist but doing music in multiple genres. This one's not as clear cut. And essentially it comes down to one very important question, which is, if you are in different genres of music, are the audiences or fans that you're attracting between those different styles the same fans or not? So let me give you an example. Let's say I continue to make old school piano house, but I also got into future house. It would be absolutely fair to assume that the music fans that I would attract around both of these niche genres would likely be almost identical, or at least have a big overlap. And that's because these music genres are relatively close together. And if that's the case, if the music genres that you're making have a fan audience that you think is overlapping significantly, then I would continue to just work with one pixel and feed that one pixel with as much data as you can about these different audiences. What does make a difference if you're an artist who makes music into completely separate genres. So let's say you make death metal music over here, and then you make classic piano music over here. Chances are that these music genres are so far apart that there's no overlap between the audiences that you're attracting for both of these music genres. In this case, if you used one pixel only, it would be very hard for Facebook to optimize your ad campaigns, because Facebook would see two completely different groups of people flood into the bucket that is your pixel, and would have a hard time finding similarities. It would recognize there are groups that look similar to each other, but all in all, this would not be a group of people very easy to understand for Facebook from a data perspective. So you would get much better results if you created two pixel, one pixel that you use for all of your death metal songs and another pixel that you use for all of your classical piano songs, so that each of these buckets can hold the data about the fan audiences that are just there for that specific genre of music. And then in Facebook, you could do this two ways. You could have either one ad account with two pixels, but what I would likely do is I would create two ad accounts with one pixel each. That usually helps keep everything clean and organized in Facebook, and it makes it very unlikely that by accident you pick the wrong pixel for any kind of music campaign. So my personal recommendation that I would do in this case would be to open just two ad accounts, have one pixel in all of these ad accounts, and use one ad account only for the death metal promotion and one ad account only for the classical piano music promotion. And I'm spending a little bit of time on this scenario because this is something that I actually often see come up in our community. I've been approached by a number of artists, and I've seen this in comments to some of our YouTube videos. Hey John, what do I do if I make music in very different genres? And so hopefully this provides you with some guidance. And now let's look at scenario 3, which is you either run a record label or you promote music for multiple artists. This one is special because it can go both ways. I've been working together with artists who run their own record labels, and some of them run record labels that are very focused on very specific genres. Let's say you run a techno label and every song that you release falls into a very specific style of techno music. You're absolutely fine just using one pixel, because you know that the audience that you're attracting around the music that you release on the label, again, is going to be the same for every one of your releases. So in this case, it doesn't matter that every song might be a different artist. What matters is that the audience between all of those releases is still the same, and that's where you're okay using just one pixel. But if you run a record label that releases music across very different genres, let's say you release hip hop over here and then house music over here and rock music over there, then you would be better off again separating this into individual ad accounts and pixels just because these audiences are likely not going to overlap. Now, there might be one very unique exception to this, which is if there is a thread that connects all of the music that you release that is not specific to the genre. Let me give an example. Let's say you make music that's all about a very particular kind of spirituality, and that is expressed in the lyrics of the songs that you're making. And you're attracting an audience that is into that kind of spirituality, and that's why they're connecting with your music. To that audience, it might not matter whether a song is a little bit more electronic or more acoustic, whether it's faster or slower, whether it's a little bit more loud or a little bit more quiet, because the connecting thread is the topic that you address with your music, that particular type of spirituality. And I'm just using that as an example. If this is the case, and despite you making music in different genres, it's still all the same audience that is attracted to the message of your music, you're then again fine to use just one pixel. So the filter that I look through is always this question: is it multiple audiences, or is it really mostly one audience that you're attracting with the music you make or you release? That's the direct path to answering the question how many pixels you need. And if you are an artist who also promotes other artists, it's the same thing. Are the other artists that you're promoting making music that's very similar to yours? You might be fine going with the same pixel. But if you're helping other music artists get their music heard that are in very, very different genres of music, it might make sense to have multiple ad accounts at multiple pixels and train them on particular genres. The question always is, am I promoting to one and the same audience, or am I promoting to very different, separate audiences? So there you have it. End of the nerd alert. And if you enjoy videos that dive deep into some technical aspects of Facebook like this one, don't forget to hit the like, the subscribe, and the bell icon below so you can get more videos like this one on YouTube to help you reach and grow a bigger audience for your music. And if you're thinking, John, I love the power that I get with Facebook and Instagram ads to promote my music, but this stuff is so complicated. I wish there was just a way to make this super easy where I just have to click a handful of buttons and then everything happens just automatically for me, then check out the next message, because this is how I felt. And me and my team, we built a tool that can do most of the heavy lifting for you, where you just give it a few simple pieces of information about your music and it creates entire Facebook and Instagram ad campaigns all automatically, all done by software. It's called the Spotify Growth Switch, and here's a little bit more information about it coming up. Want to get your music heard on Spotify with AI? I just launched a brand new video training program called the Spotify Growth Switch, where I show you how to start growing real listeners, real fans, and real streams on Spotify in less than 10 minutes using software and AI. I've used the Spotify Growth Switch system to now grow my music to over 7 million streams and tens of thousands of monthly listeners on Spotify. This works for any music genre. It gets you real fans and listeners super fast, and it's extremely easy to set up, literally just like flipping a spotlight switch for your music. Despite using AI, you don't need to know nothing about tech stuff in order to be successful with this. I've had the tremendous privilege of helping multiple tens of thousands of music artists grow their music on Spotify, many of which have grown to much larger numbers, lots more listeners, lots more streams than I have using the systems that I've taught. Makes me so proud of their success. And so if you want to get more real listeners, real fans, and real streams for your music fast using state-of-the-art software and AI, then click the link below this video and check out the Spotify Growth Switch. I can't wait to help you grow your music on Spotify, and I look forward to seeing you on the inside.